chatting. Yay! And our Hangout on Air is live. And it looks like it's all working. Yay. Excellent.
There we go.
We are good. So I can get rid of
please keep that door closed, Abby.
that window. I think we're all doing that. Oh my gosh, and I still have this open. I don't care. We're just going to have a little bit of a red curtain and a gray curtain thing going today because I'm getting air. AT says I look summery. That's because it's really disgusting.
Yeah.
It's really disgusting. Yes, indeed.
And I'm dressed appropriately with long sleeves and a wool shawl.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a temperature and humidity differential going on between the coasts right now. But we had a big storm last night that was, pounding rain and everything. And I thought, oh, it's going to be so nice and cool. And I woke up and it was kind of cool, but it was also 98% humidity. So, yeah. So I just wanted to walk around in a tank top and shorts and I had to take Thing 2 to his summer theater program. So I had to get dressed. Thus.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you had daughters instead of sons, you could have ditched the tank top and shorts.
Yeah, and don't think that didn't cross my mind, and don't think that I wasn't a little unhappy about that. It would have been nice, but instead we went with the cotton summer. This dress, it's kind of 1950s. It's very
cute,
like fitted stuff, which is not my way, but it's light cotton, but it's also, it's an enormous skirt. And I can spin around in it and it looks like it's a plate coming off of my middle. But I don't wear colors like this very often, but we saw it. Thing 2 and I were walking through Frenchtown, which is a really adorable place not too far from here. We're walking through Frenchtown and we both saw it at the same time. And we both thought it was my size, and we both said, oh, I have to go get that. And it was on sale, and it was great. And the minute I picked it up and touched the fabric, it reminded me of what made me think of One Girl Circus, because she does the bespoke dresses, couture, and things like that for whoever wants to get something made for them. And the first time I looked at her website, she had a dress that was kind of, 1950s summery, really cute, bright, not my colors usually at all, but so now it feels like I'm one step closer to having real clothes instead of mom clothes.
As I sit here in my jeans and my Target t-shirt, yeah.
I know, that's 90% of the time. Well, I work from home, so let's see, which t-shirt do I get to wear today? How about the gray one? Ooh, I like that. C'est la guerre. Well, and why is AT hating on you in the chat window?
Because of our weather here, because our forecast high is like 57 to 59 today. But there are parts of the Bay Area where it's 20 degrees warmer than that. So it's just where we live. And honestly, it's fine with me. I prefer this. So
yeah.
I joke about South City, where you can wear wool 300 days a year. So
that works out really well for people like us.
It sure does. As I sit here in July with my Malabrigo wool shawl thing on. So
I love it. Well, I'm going to have you start Crafty Chalk. We have Dawn. Dawn got called away at the last second. We were all set to have her with us today, but she may still pop in. So I was thinking to have you go, and I'll reserve my dog until we see if Dawn is here. So I'm going to click off my camera and hand it over.
Okay. Oh, no pressure or anything. So hello. I actually have very little in the crafting department this week. So Tour de Fleece is on.
Woo! My
goal is to ply all these babies.
Wow. Those are so pretty.
And well, actually these and the ones that aren't in the bag anymore. So I'm doing it on my spindle, and I have my Lazy Kate all set up. So I spun on the first day of Tour de Fleece, which was Saturday, and I got this much done. And then Sunday, I had a headache off and on all day, so I did not spin. And yesterday we were busy with 4th of July hoop-de-doo, so I did not spin. So I'm really lame as far as team captains go, only having spun one day out of the 3 so far. So, but that is mine, and then
that's not lame though. That makes your people feel less inadequate.
Oh, okay. Well, I got plenty of imperfections to help make people not feel inadequate. And I'm actually reading a book about that right now, about embracing your imperfections.
Yay.
So that's a wool silk blend. It's actually 2 different fibers that are the same color, and I accidentally bought 2 different fibers. One's biffle silk, the other's merino silk. And at this point, I don't know what's what. It doesn't matter. It's all the same color. It's all getting spun and plied together. So there's that. And that's from Bee Mice Elf.
I love that name.
Bought that fiber at my first cognitive fiber retreat. Hello, Dr. Gemma. So there's that. And my only other crafty thing is the curtain behind me. This lovely old sheet. Decided I needed a better background after consulting with my in-house non-crafter, also known as my husband, who watched a good chunk of an episode and had tips for me and said I needed a better background. And so we put this together with PVC pipes. And I almost did it all myself, but I can't be trusted with a saw, so I had to wait for him to come home from work to do it. And I had a friend here, and I kept telling her, I just want to go out to the garage. I just got to make a couple of cuts on the pipe. I can do it. She said, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to take you to the ER. So I had to wait. It was driving me crazy looking at these silly PVC pipes on my living room floor, just waiting for me to put it together. But it's very light, but it's awkward because it's 7 feet tall, and so you can just kind of imagine the slapstick physical humor that comes with my trying to put it together and put it up by myself.
That's an I Love Lucy episode right there.
It really is. It really is. Poor Abby, luckily I woke her up beforehand, but she was lying on the couch and I was dropping things and crashing around and sounding like I was wrecking the house. So, but you know, a 15-year-old needs extra reasons to criticize their mom, right? So,
well, yeah. That's kind of the whole point, I should think.
Of being 15, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the good mom gets that and only holds it a little bit against them.
Right.
I
realize I'm here to provide fodder for that, yes.
Mine isn't
the nature
15.
Of the beast.
Yes.
Both mothers and teenagers.
Yes.
So it's just an old sheet that I clipped the there's I guess a facing, you would call it, at the top of a sheet.
Yep.
And on mine it's sewn closed on the side. I just clipped a little bit of the fabric out because that was easier than unpicking the seam.
Right.
And that facing made a nice tube, and so I just slid that right over the cross piece going across the top.
Wasn't that
so? It's very simple, but much crashing around.
It looks great though. That's a great color behind you. It's a great color on. It goes with your glasses.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Well, Andrew said I needed something that would bring out my eyes.
I think it does.
He suggested a different color, but this was free. I already had this sheet, so.
I vote for free.
Yes, free is always a good color.
Yes.
So that's about it for that. As far as cooking, I haven't been doing it a lot, but one of my latest favorite things to do is roasting peppers.
Ooh.
And it's so easy. And whenever we go to potluck, I try to bring something that I can actually eat, so that I know there's at least one thing there I can actually eat. And we went to a big 4th of July party yesterday, and I said I'd bring cooked vegetables. So I made 2 cookie sheets full of roasted peppers. And
do you just
the people
olive
who
oil
ate
them?
I'm sorry?
Do you just olive oil them and put them in the oven?
Yeah, I didn't even do that. And they were great. You just cut them in half and pull out the stem and the seeds. Stick them on a cookie sheet in the oven at 500, 20 minutes on one side, then flip them over for another 20 minutes.
Wow.
And then the Ina Garten Barefoot Contessa directions I read said to put a piece of foil over it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that lets it finish, I don't know, steaming or cooking or whatever. And they're so good.
Yum.
And I used mine, I used full size peppers, not little bitty ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I only just cut them in half. I didn't cut them in strips. And at a barbecue, they made, for me, with no bread, no flour, I used 2 peppers for my hamburger bun.
Oh,
and it
genius.
It was very yummy. A little messy on the hands, but that's okay. I'm used to that.
Messy's good, but that's a nice change from the lettuce leaf thing, which is what I had to resort to for so long.
Right. So
I like that.
Cricket Knits says she has a hard time at barbecues eating because she's vegetarian, so she brings cowboy caviar. That's the
salsa that has the beans in it?
I think so.
I love that stuff. And Italian dressing. We're both watching the chat to see if
I'm not sure, but I know I've seen it a million times on Pinterest and stuff.
I'm so glad she said that, though, because I forgot. I used to make that all the time, and the boys loved it. And I was trying to figure out what to make for dinner. I think you can just paste it in, Cricket Knits, or Robin, and I think if it does freak out on you, take off the HTTP : and see if it'll take it, or put a space between the first part and the .com, and it shouldn't resist your feminine wiles again.
That's not that link.
So annoying. You can email it to me, and I can pull it off the waves. Because I know I've been able to put links in there before, but I can't remember what I did.
Well, being the Bay Area and being a potluck barbecue, we'll make the meat, you guys bring something to share. We had quite a variety of stuff there. There was the typical hamburgers and hot dogs and sausages, but there was also lumpia and chicken adobo. Another good, yummy, not what you think of as stereotypical barbecue food.
Mm-hmm. Aha, you got it. And I just remembered the way that I'd first learned about this, the cowboy caviar thing, was from a restaurant in New York City called the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. And it is so much fun. It's in the Village, and it's just a great place to go. But they have it was black eyed peas. I couldn't remember what the bean was. And you sub chickpeas. Okay, I just came across a recipe where somebody had substituted those, and I thought, ooh, I hadn't seen that before, but now I'm trying to find a picture that I can show everybody.
There were black-eyed peas yesterday too.
Really?
And actually, Andrew said they were really good. She made them a little differently because she used, instead of cooking it with ham or bacon, she used sausage and some turkey wings.
Ooh.
Some smoked turkey wings.
Oh, I like
and
that.
He said it was really good. He brought home a lot of it. So
right.
There's going to be black-eyed peas for days around here.
I support that. And in fact, I am sharing a screen, I think.
Yeah.
There. So that's the, oops, let me see if I can do this. There we go.
So sorry, people at home. This is a bowl of, it looks like salsa with black-eyed peas in it.
That is, and it's
and maybe a little extra green bell peppers
cilantro
or something.
Yeah, and it's so good. But I think it's like Italian dressing, if I remember correctly. That's one of the things that you put on it. So it's not the salsa. It's not the salsa flavor. So if you don't like salsa, although I don't know who wouldn't like salsa, but it's not that.
Probably people who don't like tomatoes.
Yeah, and actually, Robin was just saying that she, ooh, black beans. My husband would like it with black beans, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Oh, well, that's good. I have my recipe that thing too, and I made. I was telling Erica before we went live that he woke up Saturday and decided it was time to cook. And he was so thrilled. And so let me see if I can get the photograph of this sucker to blow up, because it will make everybody's mouth water. Oh, yeah. So I was telling Erica, we did not call this what the rest of the world seems to call it. When I was a kid, we called it a German pancake, but everybody else seems to call it a Dutch baby or a German baby. And if you, oh, Steph, sorry. I was calling Steph, Robin. Sorry. It's like a souffle in that it's very eggy and puffs up. And you can kind of tell on the middle of this picture that the center had been puffed up and it fell as it cooled off, which is what it's supposed
to do that.
Yeah, it's absolutely what it's supposed to do, which is one of the reasons why it's such a great thing to do. If you haven't done a souffle before and are intimidated by it, start here. It's so much easier. But this one recipe that we found, I was really, really happy about, because I have to reset the screen size. This one does it the way that I think works best, where it tells you to use a cast iron skillet, like a 10-inch cast iron skillet. And then you stick that in the oven while you're doing everything else. You stick that in your 425-degree oven and let that sucker get hot. And then you put butter in that, let it melt. And then when you pour the batter on, what happens is the butter lubricates it enough that it pushes up and around the sides and kind of curves in on itself. Right. But you also get this little puddle of butter in the middle, which is just fine. And then you put powdered sugar and lemon on it, and it's so good. The combo of the lemon powdered sugar thing, the tartness of the lemon with the egginess of the egg, it feels good to eat in the summer because it's much lighter than regular pancakes, but it stinks if it's already hot in the morning because it's a 425-degree oven and we don't have central air, so that part's gross. But
well, it's funny to me that you made it for breakfast, because I don't think of it as a breakfast food. We always had it as part of dinner.
Isn't that funny? That's like a Dutch thing.
And it's also good with savory, like you did it with more on the sweet. It's good with savory, like you cook sausages in the pan, and then you cook the Dutch baby in the pan that you cooked the sausages in.
That sounds really good.
And sometimes people even will pour the batter in and then put the sausages into the pan of the batter so it grows up around the
Nice.
sausages.
That's kind of like a bubble and squeak, but a souffle version.
Yeah. So yeah, those things are, it's very hard to eat just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and it was one of those moments where we realized that we only had 2 skillets that would allow allow us to put them in the oven, because everything else had a plastic handle. But the number of people who wanted to eat them outweighed the number of people who we could serve. So everybody had to take a half, and then we had to go through the whole thing again. Okay.
Yeah, my mom always did it in either a big Corningware or just a 9x13 pan.
My mom did it in the 9x13 pan. I started having weird sticky issues with it when I was using the glass 9x13s. I couldn't get the butter to, even like picking up the hot thing with the hot pads and kind of swirling it and trying to get the edges all buttery. It wasn't working it's another superpower, I think, of mine. I drain batteries and I have eggs stick to my dishes.
Yeah, well,
it is my way.
Evidently. It's just life, I guess. You gotta have an imperfection or two.
Right. I was hoping to be able to actually take this on the road outside today, because our neighbor / landlord, he's a tree guy. And this was one of the craftiest things I think I've ever seen. And I will get pictures later today, because he's going to go up again, but it's not going to be now. He's had to take down a tree outside my window, my work window. And when I say tree, I mean, I don't know, 4 stories of a reasonably sized building stories. 4 stories up, pine tree, fir tree. It's got sap and needles. Evergreen tree. And 2 days ago, the 3rd, we heard a buzzsaw start up, and we all went, wow, who's out there with a chainsaw this morning? Well, it must be DJ. But we didn't know what was going on. The tree had split. It had grown. It had grown. And I mean, it had to be at the base. It was easily the width of a mini Clubman.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big tree. And back when it was a little baby tree, it had branched off. And so a good 5 feet of the base from the roots up was all one solid piece. And then it branched off. And the further that it branched off, of course, the heavier that it got. And in Hurricane Sandy, one side blew harder than the other, and the thing split.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't split in such a way that it fell over. It split in such a way that it looked perfectly normal until the wind blew. And then it would start doing that. And he knew it was going to come down at some point. And the one side would have taken us out. And probably if it had gone at nighttime, it would have 86'd us. And the other side,
to take it down than have it come down.
I know. The other side would have taken out all the wires for the entire street, both sides of the street, all of the wires. So he'd been trying for a year, since he figured out this was going on. He'd been trying to figure out how to take it down, because it's in this like Bermuda Triangle of space in between wires from our house, wires from the street, and his house, and another tree. And so he had to like plan the geometry of how do you climb up a tree with spikes. All he has was spikes. He spikes himself up to the top of the tree, and he starts with his chainsaw cutting off chunks of it. And of course he starts with branches and things like that, and he trims it down. But then you start hearing these thunk.
Oh my goodness.
And it's really loud. I mean, it sounds like bodies are hitting the ground. It is so heavy, and you kind of stop. Oh, right, DJ's out there.
I'd have to not watch.
It's a little nerve-wracking. So I went out yesterday to check on him and see if it was all okay. And he told me he has 29 lives. He's a volunteer fireman. He's been blown out the 2nd story window of a house that was on fire. got stitched up,
Holy cow.
went back up the ladder, went up to the roof, and the roof collapsed. And he went back down to the first floor. I'm like, DJ, that's like Chutes and Ladders. That's just not right. And he said, yeah, I know. As soon as they were patching me up from the second time, the foreman, whoever it is, the chief, came up and said, you get your gear together, you get in your car, and you go buy a lottery ticket right now. Because if you're ever going to win, that's going to be the day. So he's not fazed by this at all. He just scurries up the tree with his little spikes in his boots. But it's amazing. And right now it is a completely denuded set. 2 ginormous trunks going up. And they're all coming down later today. It's a little too hot and humid for him right now, but
wow.
Yeah. So I'll get pictures of it before the day is out, and I'll try and get pictures of him up there because it's something fearsome to see. But I was going to show
all the wood.
Pardon?
What's he gonna do with all the wood?
Actually, he is cutting some of the larger sections down at the bottom. He's cutting me stools and benches for the backyard because we have a little fire pit in his backyard. And I said, it would really be nice to have some seating out there that wasn't dependent upon me cleaning it and dragging it out of the garage and setting it up and then
there you go.
Having the kids complain because there's spiders on it, or there were. And so instead he's getting us seats. And since it goes down to such a big thing, one of them will be like a love seat. It's huge. So
cool.
I'm very excited. Yeah, it'll be nice. Ooh, and on that front, anybody who's listened to the podcast for a long time knows that I hate mosquitoes and don't do well with getting bites. And thing 2 is very similar. But he's also kind of paranoid from getting bit by ants. So any kind of bug, he's over. And they went kayaking yesterday, and there were a bunch of gnats and even dragonflies, which don't bug me, really threw him off. So I went looking for a mosquito netting hat, like an Australian outback kind of hat.
Oh,
with
yeah.
a net. Okay, I will put links in the show notes. LL Bean has a $14.95 big netting. It's a black netting because it's easier to see through than the white netting. It's a big netting. It has weights around the bottom, so it'll just kind of sit on your shoulders, and it fits over any hat from the Australian hat bag. It looks like it comes with a hat, and it doesn't. It's just the netting. But people in the comments were saying they wore it with baseball hats, they wore it with outback hats, with pith helmets, with all sorts of stuff. And 100% of the comments said, wow, this totally saved our life. And then it linked from there geniusly to another page on LL Bean's website that was like a windbreaker. It's a super lightweight jacket that's been treated with what's it called? Promethazone, the stuff that they make from dandelions. It's a natural non-DEET buggy not eliminator, distractor. It's one of those things that bugs don't like the smell of it, so they go away.
Nice.
Which includes deer ticks. Which is
awesome.
Oh, good. And so they are selling the pants that are treated with this stuff too. Those are crazy expensive. But the windbreaker thing that came with mitts was all, I think it was $38. I'll find the link again. But I showed it to him and said, do you think if you had something on you so that you knew that the bugs couldn't touch you, that it would be better? And he said, I would be outside all the time. I said, done.
Nice.
So that was a happy thing to find. So I'm getting the hat one, and he's getting the jacket, and then we'll see if we need to get more. But I was very happy about that.
Cool.
And then we had the Tour de Fleece thing, and I thought I should show people my dog. Not my dog, but the fact that there is dog fur that is getting spun. Actually, I should show you backwards. So that is there. That is Samoyed and BFL. And I've spun it super crazy tight. And for people who
And-
haven't
and-
spun
and-
before.
Who is the Samoyed that supplied this?
I know, right? This is my voice instructor's dog, one of the two. And it's kinky. It's kinky because it's overspun. And I do that on purpose for a couple of reasons. One, it's easier for me to pick out the vegetable matter and find the guard hairs that I've missed. In fact, I think you can see there's a couple of guard hairs sticking up out of there right now that I can probably get.
Yeah.
But I also have found that overspinning on this stuff really lets me ply it nicely. There's a really good section of overspinning in there. Let's see if I can keep my hands from shaking. And the so that is very twisty, but it makes the fluffiest yarn. And once I've plied it, I'll get it wet, take it outside, and thwack it against the bricks, and it poofs up so nicely. And the dog, you can really tell that there's something different, that it's not just sheep. But the way that you achieve that, because I had to learn trial and error, is I've got my hand card. So a hand card like that. And these are from Shocked, SCHACT, for those who are not spinning yet. And you can see that the layers that I've got on here right now are all pretty uniform, and they're all going the same direction. And they're all pretty thin, and that's the sheep. That's the top layer. But then underneath that is the dog, and you can start to see it pulling away, and it's kind of nubby, and it's not all going the same direction because it's kind of all over the place. And this is some of that same dog that hasn't been cleaned. Let me see if I can do it that way. And you can see how nubby it is. You can't actually see exactly how dirty it is, but you can come close.
Oh my.
Yeah. And that's the stuff I talked about that it had to go through Dawn. I had to pour actual vanilla in the water at one point because it was just so god awful. But once it's washed, it's really nice and light and fluffy. And this is the one that I've picked all the guard hairs out of, which is a pain. But it comes out so nice in the end. So that's my tour de fleeceness. Is all I want to do is finish plying off that bobbin, and then that's my big goal.
You know who else spins dog hair is Dr. Gemma. She spins collie hair.
Ooh, wow, she's good.
Yeah,
I can't. Collie would be hard for me.
She has a collie, so she has quite the never-ending source of collie hair.
She has a lot she can experiment with.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She posted a picture recently where she had brushed the dog, and it looked like another dog sitting next to her. It was so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody who is on Ravelry and hasn't gone the Tour de Fleece route, I thought you might want to see. This is the Team Sasquatch group. And so it's ravelry.com/groups/Team Sasquatch. And you can see things right now are listed by day and goals. And so everybody can go in and post their, and there's Erica right there. Whee! And you can see all the prettiness that people are posting. Mine will not be that pretty. It's not colorful. But this year, I'm noticing people are being really, really reasonable with their goals. Like, I'm going to spin for 15 minutes a day kind of thing, which makes me feel better. Because again, there's plenty in life that makes us feel inadequate. Why should this be one of them?
Well, there are also some people spinning large amounts. I've seen some pictures go by on Instagram of just some amazing amounts of spinning that people have been doing. Which, you know, I've been there. I've had
That's
days
good.
like that where I spin just a ginormous amount in one day.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And Barbara's here. Hello, Barbara. The other thing about the spinning is, Erica, I had a question for you, and I'll click off my my camera so that you can pop back in. But my question for you is, when you spin at home on your spindle,
mm.
um, do you have, like, we all talk about having TV time when we knit in front of the television and we just do
Oh,
this kind of um, potato chip knitting.
right.
When you are doing your spindling, are
Mm-hmm.
you standing? Are you watching TV? Are you walking somewhere? Where do you post yourself and find time to spindle?
I stand, and I stand in my living room,
Mm-hmm.
usually to the left of my couch.
I can
And
GPS plot you now.
yeah, and yeah, and it's usually with the TV on in the background. Uh, yeah, that's usually when I spin. And even if I were spinning on my wheel, there would be something in the background. Um, it's funny, I don't usually do podcasts while I spin.
Yeah,
Usually more something on the TV.
that
And
makes sense.
I used to put down a yoga mat on the floor
Ooh.
to muffle any sounds if I dropped my spindle, so that I wouldn't get as many complaints from the peanut gallery. But I don't drop quite as often anymore, and I'm not quite as considerate of the peanut gallery, so I don't do that anymore. So we are going on our annual big camping trip next week, and I'm going to take my spinning with me. But I will take the yoga mat this time because of the Lazy Kate. I don't want to stick the Lazy Kate just on the ground.
Yeah.
I'll put the yoga mat down and put it on the yoga mat. But it seems especially appropriate to me too, because when I first started spinning this batch of fiber, I took it with me on the camping trip and did some spindle spinning by the fire and stuff. So
That's nice.
I'm going to work on applying it peacefully in the woods among all the allergens. So
allergens.
yes, because it's so terribly logical for someone who is allergic to redwoods to go camping for 5 nights in a redwood forest.
Wow, I'm allergic to birch, and I'm living in the middle of them. So we both gotten real smart about where we're living when you factor in our allergies.
Yeah, well, they don't have them around where I live, not now, but I'm
That's good.
from Marin County, and that's like the land of the redwoods. So it's, the irony is not lost on me. Probably part of why when I was in college and would go home on vacations to my parents' house, I would always get raging headaches. And my mom used to joke that I was allergic to them. And I think it was allergy headaches from the redwoods, because their house was made of redwood on the hill surrounded by redwoods. Just redwoods everywhere. So I think it was probably just my allergies trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's really not fun at all.
Oh yeah, I would get the horrible, starts out as an allergy headache, becomes a migraine, gets so bad that you puke your guts out headache. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I haven't gotten one of those in a while, but they are familiar. I think my mom gets them too.
Yeah.
And that is no
Let's see.
fun.
Cricket Knits says she has her wheel parked in front of a couch so she can watch TV when she's spinning. I can't knit. I can't spin on my couch, but I lucked into a free chair. Our former next door neighbors across the driveway, I saw him outside with these two chairs one day and said, "Are you getting rid of those chairs?" He said, "Yeah, you want them?" I said, "I would love them." And it's the exactly perfect height for me to sit and spin on my
Are
spinning
they
wheel.
hardback chairs?
They're I think the style is called Parsons chairs.
Mm-hmm.
They have no arms and just very straight back and seat. They're I doubt they're real leather. I'm sure they're fake leather. But I got both of them, and it's exactly perfect for me for spinning.
Those finding chairs like that when I was pregnant and when I was spinning, those two things are crucial. I couldn't get my rhythm right if I wasn't on a really solid chair. And actually, Cricket Knits is saying she has two pillows behind you so you can lean back without going too far back. That makes perfect sense because I have to sit way forward on whatever chair I'm in. The only thing that I can think of that was similar for me in my life with the way I have to sit when I'm spinning, Erica, is when I was in choir. And our choir director, our former nun choir director, who made us sit with 4 inches of our butt on the seat, because that really forces you to use your core and hold yourself upright. Otherwise, you're going to fall off the chair. And it feels that same way when I'm spinning, like I'm better off, or playing the piano, better off forward, better off kind of solid. And yeah, deep couch is great for sleeping. I like deep couches then, but not for
sitting curled up. But
yeah,
especially when you're short, a deep couch is torture, because if you scoot all the way back and put your butt back at the joint of the couch, the joint of your knee is like 3 inches back.
You have your feet up.
The edge of your legs are like sticking like this. Yes, I'm short.
That's one of the funniest things, Erica, is I'm 5'8" and you're 5'2".
Yeah.
And since we have never been in the same place at the same time physically ever, I think of you as being exactly my height. And when we finally meet, it's going to be awesome.
I know.
Actually, speaking of the Parsons chair, did you see Renee Revnitz on Ravelry? Did you see Renee's post on Facebook for the 4th of July? About Presbyterians?
I probably did. About her what?
About Presbyterians. I'll see if I can pull it up again. She posted a response to the goofy picture that I posted for the 4th of July of the happy, not Tyranny Day, Happy Treason Day from the UK, which was it was a meme that was going around and people
right
themselves up. Well, she posted something. I mean, she was laughing, but she also posted something serious back, and I'm going to pull it up because it was an article about, she's a Presbyterian minister, and it was an article about the proportion of American colonists during the time of the Revolutionary War who were Presbyterian.
Oh.
And what kinds of troublemakers they all were. And it made me think of Jane Eyre and the Brontes and the whole the dissenter, and North and South, the whole dissenter mentality that was going on. It's not going to pull up, so I'll pull it up later. But it was so interesting, and especially with all the Alexander Hamilton stuff that's been swirling around. And we got to say hello to his grave when we were in New York, which was kind of nice. And it was surrounded by people. I used to walk by it every day on my way to my school, and no one was ever looking at his grave. I said good morning. Right. You know, be respectful.
As you do, yeah.
As you do. But yeah, oh my God. Crowd around him this time. And
were they singing?
They were looking for Lin-Manuel.
Alexander Hamilton.
I know. And you just were waiting for somebody to come in. I'm taking this horse by the rein, making red coats red with bloodstains. I was expecting it, but no. But
it didn't happen.
But the boys did go to France's Tavern with Andrew. I stayed downstairs and had lunch. But they went upstairs to the little museum, and they have Lafayette's one of his sashes that has blood on it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I think they have somebody's pistols, but that's where they all hung out. It's like around the corner from the Staten Island Ferry now. But the streets down there are still, you can find streets down there that are still cobblestone that haven't been paved over with asphalt. But the cobblestone streets were all down in the village and down in the Wall Street area, because that's where the ships were coming in, and the ships were coming in with ballast because they were going to take stuff back from here. So they had to come way down and then dump the rocks and then pick up all the natural resources that they were taking from here, because they did. And then they could go back fully laden, but they were just dumping rocks. So that's where all those streets came from in Lower Manhattan. It was pretty cool. And it was, I know AT's saying it was a fascinating article. It was. Red shirt, brown pants. So this was the last crafty thing I did this week. Aiden and I, my thing too, and I were drawing this weekend. And so I went and learned how to do those little gemstones in the Zen tingling thing. And the woman's, actually I should show, let me see if I can get close on the blue one. Focus. The woman whose book I used to learn how to do this, I was so surprised, because it wasn't in drawing classes before. You know where your light source is, and you make your shadows appropriately. But once you add once you add something like a gemstone, all bets are off, because now it's a 3-dimensional thing that you're trying to recreate on a 2-dimensional surface, and light behaves very strangely going through semi-clear colored materials, crystalline materials. And one of the things that I didn't get was that if your light source is up here, the lighter part of the gemstone is going to be down here. It's like if you've ever seen a moonstone or a star sapphire before, and how the light, you can really distinctly see how the light is doing weird things and the shadow is doing weird things on those stones. But I hadn't thought about it very much. So now I'm looking for it.
I had a lot of time handling gems,
I worked at a diamond company for a little while when we first moved to New York.
You've done everything.
I know, right? But not for very long. I'll do it for a little bit, and then I'll go, I want to go podcast. No, I needed a job when we first got there, and the Board of Ed kept telling me that I wasn't qualified to teach. And I kept going in with my degree saying, here are my references, here are the parents' letters, here's my reviews from the 3 years of teaching. Yeah, you're not qualified. You need a master's degree. I have a teaching credential. I have almost enough credits to qualify for a PhD. Yeah, well, you need a master's. Andrew said when he went down to the Board of Ed to register, there was a guy in front of him who'd been living in China. He's American, living in China he'd been over there for 7 years, teaching English to native Chinese speakers. He had written a textbook in Mandarin, translated it into Cantonese, how to teach English to native Chinese, and they told him he wasn't qualified because he didn't have an education degree.
Oh my goodness.
And at the end of the conversation, the guy at the counter said to this poor man, why do you even want to teach in New York City? And Andrew just went, really?
Oh
There's not a school on the Lower East Side that could be helped by having this fabulous guy working? No. But that was, 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm sure it's gotten better.
You're trusting that it's gotten better.
Uh-huh. We used to say there's nothing wrong with the New York City Board of Education that a bulldozer and dynamite couldn't
Been fixed. Yes.
So, at night, not when people are in there, but at night.
Right. Of course.
Go in and sweep it all clean. It'll be good. It'll be better for everybody. But yeah, so the diamonds don't respond the same way that rounded gemstones do because diamonds are cut. So,
well, again, I wouldn't know because actually this is a CZ.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
You done got good one, baby cakes.
I know it was probably one of the best pieces of marriage and engagement advice that Andrew got was to get a CZ and just get it mounted and use it to propose with so I could have something on my hand to show off and do the bling bling. But
don't mortgage the house to do it.
Then you're not mortgaging, but also then he could take me and I could pick out something I liked. He wouldn't run the risk of getting something I didn't like.
It's brilliant.
And we found a jeweler and I was going to design this ring. And then we went back to the guy and he'd gone out of business. And I said, we're having a fairly short engagement. How many rings do I really need? How about we'll have somebody make that ring as my wedding ring and I'll just stick with this as my engagement ring. And of course he was thrilled. So then by the time it came to get the wedding ring, he had found a connection in the jewelry center. So the wholesale place. And so we went to a guy and designed it and the price was so good. He said, yeah, you could have 15 diamonds on it instead of 10 because the price was so good. They're tiny little itty bitty diamonds, but I love my polka dotted ring.
That's beautiful. I love
and I
that.
got it for about $1,200 less than retail.
Wow.
So
rock on.
Cost less than my wedding dress. So
that's a good thing too.
Mm-hmm.
If your whole MO is only focused on the wedding, you're going to be sorely disappointed by marriage because that party's over and then it's just life. I worry about kids who get married so young and are so wrapped up, especially when the girl is so wrapped up in the whole wedding thing and you just kind of life is tricky. I think the CZ ring idea, and Crooked Knits is saying the same thing. It's when you weigh the what do you want to spend your money on thing. And not only that, but I've been wearing. I so rarely wear my engagement ring. I'm almost always just wearing my wedding band. So.
Yeah, I go back and forth between wearing my engagement ring. When we first got married, I would often have my hand inside of computers and stuff, and I didn't want something that stuck up like my engagement ring.
Yeah.
Not that I for a second didn't wear my engagement ring when we were engaged. Trust me, I was that girl that it was never coming off. But yeah, no, I've gone for years at a time without wearing the engagement ring. I just go through moods where I wear it and where I don't. But I love my wedding band. I would gladly get a similar ring for the other hand.
Yeah. I had for 6 months, I think, I was wearing Andrew's high school class ring, the high school ring that his parents gave him at graduation. And
oh, wow.
And I wore that happily because it was the thing that made me think of him because that's what I'd seen on his hand the whole time I'd known him. And then we had an engagement party after I moved to New York, and in the middle of the party, and it was all of our friends from UCLA because everybody wound up in New York, all the theater people, plus our friends from New York City and family and everybody. And we were in a little apartment in the West Village, and the place was packed. And Andrew stood up on a chair and he said, and everybody's like, oh, speech, speech. So everybody's quiet. And Andrew picked me out of the crowd and fanned me and said, you need to give me my ring back. And I mean, he said, I'm already translucent. I was whiter than a sheet. And I walked across the room, the crowd of people, and I took the ring off and I handed it to him, and he had rigged it so that he could pop open a little jewelry box. And it was a really simple setting. And it was one of his grandmother's earrings that she had gotten in Brazil in like 1936 for, $200. But nice. It's a diamond. It was a big diamond, and I was floored. He said I looked like Mr. Bill. It was just
Oh
no! Yeah. And see, Barbara ended up with her mother-in-law's. Yep. Yeah, I know. I always feel like I anytime people compliment the ring, I have to say it wasn't ours. we didn't have anything to do with this, really. It was put on a ring. It was his grandmother's.
Hey. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right?
Right? I know.
My mom has a ring. Let's see. The diamond from her original engagement ring, which was just a plain, simple engagement ring like mine, but she had never really cared for it.
Yeah.
But it was a real diamond, this giant rock. She, many years later, had it set into a gorgeous pendant.
Ooh.
Very, very, very modern kind of pendant, because it just wasn't her thing. But when you get engaged in 1963 and you have all of 6 weeks to pull this whole wedding thing together, you don't have time to futz around about the ring.
No. We're gearing up for the next bar mitzvah, and that whole party planning thing it was hard with the first one. It's going to be much harder with the second one, because the second one's much pickier. If he goes into any kind of store, he will identify within 38 seconds the most expensive thing in the place. Doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or a store. That man, he's got great taste.
I've got that ability too. Yeah.
Oh my God. So I have to figure out how to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to figure out how to. He does have opinions, AT. Lots of them, but we have to figure out how to make his bar mitzvah look like $1 million and cost 25 cents. So.
Yeah, I hear you.
C'est la guerre.
Will it be a time of year when you can do a barbecue or something like that?
No, his birthday's actually in January, but we got them to push everything back because there's no guarantee we'd even be able to get up the hill to the synagogue. So we're doing it in, I think it's March 21st next year, maybe. And it should be okay, but she says should be in quotation marks because, we had snow in April this year. So
yeah,
you just kind of do the best you can. And honestly, it's a small enough event with just family that if we had to, we could probably do it here with everybody just crowding into the room. But I know for the party, he's going to want something.
Good luck.
I know. Thank you. If you see anything.
I was very, very grateful that Sarah had very low-key wishes about her graduation party. We had to talk her into letting us give her a graduation party. She didn't even want a graduation party, but we were like, no, you need a graduation party. We need a graduation party.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
But it was very low-key, just barbecue. I don't even remember how many people we had, but it was very low key. She's not one of these kids with these really, unrealistic high expectations. She's she hasn't been poisoned by all the teen movies where kids get cars and stuff for graduation and all that. So
yeah,
she was happy with her very laid back barbecue.
That's very cool. I'm glad, and I'm glad she's doing well. And it's 2:30. I think
it is. It is time.
I think it is time. Wow! Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us. And I will. I am collecting the links of all the stuff that we talked about. And I have a quick question for everyone who's in the chat window, who's still in the chat window. The quick question is, for the last, I don't know how long, I've been doing the show notes. I'd been pulling in all of the links and time codes and stuff into the CraftLit show notes and then duplicating them over on the YouTube site so that they would also appear underneath the YouTube video. And it was last episode or the episode before, I said, I don't want to spend the time to do that if I'm not sure that people are actually using this stuff. So the question is it enough just to post pictures and links for the stuff that we take out of the live stream and put into the episode and just have the links to those things? Or does it help a lot to have everything kind of broken down on a time code schedule so you can say, oh, she didn't play that on the podcast, but I'd like to know more about the Dutch baby or whatever. That would be useful information, because I don't know how useful it is to have all of it there. And if it's not, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, why put in the effort if people aren't using it? Yeah.
It's not that it's a lot. It's not that it's a ton of extra work. It's just, one of those things where it's an extra step. Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely right. Crooked Nuts just said that's a better question for the people who don't come to the Crafty chat. And that is true. I'll ask it on the podcast this week. I was going to record this morning and I came upstairs and it was dripping. Like the walls were damp. It was so gross. And I couldn't get into the recording area without like sticking to things. And I thought, I'm going to short myself out if I do this.
Gross.
Right? I am going to wind up talking too close to a microphone and I will electrocute myself. And that will be how I go. Wouldn't that be ironic? Oh,
that would be terrible. No, You're not going to go that way.
No.
And before I forget, I will not be here next week. Next week is that's the day we leave on our big camping adventure.
Yay!
And this year we are camping without the kids.
Whoa.
Because Sarah is on her summer adventure.
Right.
And Abby will be staying here because of summer school, and we have friends coming to stay, so the house is not going to be empty or anything. But this is a big annual camping adventure with on the Saturday night it comes out to probably about 30 people.
Wow.
But we go from Tuesday to Sunday, and it was started probably 25 years ago by 3 or 4 guys who were single, who would just always go camping the week after 4th of July.
Right.
And then through the years, people got married and had kids, and so they brought their spouses and their kids, and then other friends joined in, and so now it's up to about 30 people.
Wow.
But it's cool. We borrow an RV. There's no way I would be going if we were having to do tent camping. That just would not. But there's enough of us that we get all the spots in this one central ring, so then the kids can all just sort of run in a pack between all the different campsites. And
fun.
There's one other family that has a trailer, and everybody else comes in and does tents, and it's a lot of fun.
Aww.
But we've never done it without the girls, so this will be different.
Yeah.
We won't have, and the girls the last couple times have brought friends, so it'll be really nice. much as we love our girls and their friends, it will be really nice not to have at 3 a.m. So
yeah,
they're great girls, but you know, they're teenagers, and that's just what teenagers do. And
it is.
It's easier to sleep without that. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's where I will be. But I will have crafting to report on afterwards.
Very good. Well, have a great time.
Yeah.
And
hopefully you'll have Dawn with you next week.
I know. I was gonna say maybe Dawn will show
Poor
up.
Dawn.
We'll see.
She really is part of the gang still.
I know. I know. I know she feels bad. I'm gonna try and pop back in. She may very well have tried on her cell phone, because I saw a weird flicker thing light up and then it disappeared again, and so it's possible she tried. So, but thank you everyone for coming and hanging with us, and thank you, Erica, for sharing your prettiness. I'm very excited to see what your singles are going to spin up into when they are plied. Those colors are beautiful. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not so sure I'm happy with it yet, but we'll see. It may be one of those things where I liked it in the fiber and I don't like it as yarn, but I like it once it's knit up.
That's what I was just thinking. I've seen it do that to me before, where once it was yarn, I kind of went, and then I knit it and went, oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
I know. Well, thank you. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Crooked. Thank you, AT. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.